Hi, this is Donna Brooks from Original Body Wisdom. You can find me at originalbodywisdom.com. And this is another video about your breathing. And when COVID-19 struck, I started releasing some of these really short videos to help you breathe better. Because of course we knew in the beginning and still do know that even though this isn't completely a respiratory illness, for most people it really does affect your lungs. But it also affects your cells. And this breathing practice is going to be a little bit different than the other breathing practices because it's less about what you can do to breathe and more about opening your experience to the possibility of actually feeling cellular respiration and the membranes of your cell and the fluids around and in your cell. So when we breathe in, and there are some other videos on the website about how to enhance your ability to utilize oxygen, take in oxygen, and circulate oxygen around your body. But when that oxygen gets circulated, it needs to go into your cells. And I'm going to suggest, and I know this is very imperfect because cells come in all different shapes and sizes, but I'm going to ask you to just contemplate that this is a cell. And as the cell breathes, because it does, the membrane, the edges of the cells can expand to allow in fresh oxygen, and the membranes can condense to help push out wastes, things that aren't needed. And of course, your cells are much more complicated than this. There are arms that reach out of the membranes to come and get your proteins or different proteins the cells need. There's a lot of function on the inside of the cell, but one of the things we do know is that COVID-19 attaches to cells. And my personal explanation or exploration is wondering if I can find the movement of my cells, will that help with any resilience? And I know that sounds far out, but part of being a somatic practitioner means that I accept the idea that all of our tissue has an intelligence. And also that I can experience subtlety very deeply internally in my body. And maybe this doesn't help my resistance at all, but it can be a very centering practice. So I know that was a long prelude, so why don't you just sit down and find a comfortable place or lie down. And what I want you to do is first pay attention to your external breathing. So you're just feeling the rise and fall of your breath wherever that is. As we've learned in other videos, it's helpful if you even out your breath or even make the exhalation a little longer than the inhalation. But anything you're doing is without strain. That's the most important thing. And as you're breathing, I just want you to use your imagination at first. So, of course, the imagination is not the end all. We want to get into an experience. But you can use your imagination to come into experience. So can you use your imagination to feel as if your entire body or the skin of your body is expanding a bit and contracting a bit? So just see if you could feel that. It's almost a sensation of the pores of your skin breathing. The pores of your skin widening to take in air, and the pores of your skin narrowing to let out carbon dioxide and other waste gases. And this is an aspect of what is happening inside each of the 1 in trillions of cells in your body. And they're not floating in air, they're floating in fluid. So as you're sitting or lying, it's easier with your eyes closed, and you're just looking for a possibility of your skin expanding and condensing. Just see if with that you can feel the fluidity of the air externally crossing in and out of your body, and maybe internally a sense of fluid passing in and out of your membrane. Remembering to allow your breath to be as fluid and smooth as possible as you're doing this. There's no pressure at all. It should be like the cells are just floating in fluid, so it's really easy. And despite that easiness, you may notice that movement goes out easier or movement comes in easier. It may not be even. And if you're noticing movement, this might just be a relaxing, enjoyable practice for you. You may keep it in this level of just feeling it through your skin and the atmosphere. If you want to go a little deeper, you could feel into a particular body part or area where you could feel this kind of motion happening in fluid in your internal ocean with water that's carrying the nourishment into your cells and taking out through fluid what's unwanted and what's unneeded. You can feel that deeper inside your body. And if it feels like it's not very even, like it's harder to come in or harder to go out, see if you can feel into the membrane itself. So that would be like feeling into these edges here. And I kind of like this for a cell because we were taught in school that cells were flat and round, and really they're three-dimensional and they can have very irregular shapes. So just noticing that there's an edge though, it's a permeable membrane, much like your skin, which again has different shapes depending on what bones it's covering. And just see if you can imagine that you're kind of sliding along the inside or outside of your membrane. If you prefer to feel it as your skin, feel a little that you're sliding along the inside or outside of your skin. There's going to be places where you feel the skin is easier to glide. If you're feeling into an individual or group of cells, you may feel there are places where it's easier for the membrane to glide. And notice again if you have a preference to be in the inside or the outside of the membrane, and see if you can bring your attention to going into the opposite, just for a little bit. There's no strain, it's just opening your mind and your embodied experience to the possibility. And to remember that while our diaphragm, our lungs, our alveoli, the movement of our muscles, our pelvic floor, and our spine, all those more surface ways of breathing are important to get the oxygen in and circulating through our body, there's then the movement in the cell. So after you've played with that a moment, just go back to the breathing. Again, either of your entire skin or of these very particular areas or individual cells, and just see if it feels smoother, easier. And if you don't notice anything today, I'd encourage you to do this video a few times, because over time you will become more aware of the subtlety that's already existing in your body. And if you do notice something different, you can journal, you can absorb it through more movement, even as this video ends. And if it's just more calm that you feel, know that that's valuable too. So thank you for stopping by today. It is my pleasure to share this work with you. My website is originalbodywisdom.com, and I encourage you to try or drop into some of my classes that I'm holding virtually, so wherever you are around the world, you can stop in. I also offer one-on-one individual lessons in embodied movement, somatic movement, yoga therapy, and embodied meditation. I look forward to meeting you if I haven't already. Thank you.